Again, thank you everybody for being here. I've got a few slides that I'm going to share just to kick us off. And again, so grateful for everybody who's joining us this morning for our first ever Canuck Place Connects. So the idea around this is to give you some information on how we're dealing with the changes due to COVID, and to share and to answer any questions that you may have around some of our programs. And amazingly, Laura Fielding was able to join us for this first session. And so I'm going to go through a couple of things just so you know who's in here helping to organize. Give me one sec. So here's me, Karina Chow. My superpower is enthusiasm. Hopefully that's coming through. My weaknesses are coffee and chocolate in copious amounts. That is what I totally enjoy. And then Chantel Bowles, my colleague, is also helping out today. She's doing some of our logistics. She just waved at you if you have her on the big screen. Her superpower is a bubbly personality and the ability to make a decent meal out of just about anything in the fridge, which is absolutely a superpower, especially now. And weaknesses are kittens and pizza. So I would also like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil, and Stolo nations. So today, wanted to start off with a welcome. I got a few Zoom tips if you're not haven't done like 18 million Zoom sessions every week the way some of us have now done. We're going to dive into Laura sharing. We're going to do questions, and then we'll do some wrap up. And as you can tell, I always talk with my hands, even on a Zoom. So I'm a very enthusiastic person in all things. So Zoom session tips. Chantel is monitoring the chat. So if you have a question or a problem, feel free to throw it in. Again, the default setting is that you won't have video and you won't have audio. And that's to respect people's privacy. And then also so to ensure that we have a bit of a smooth transition as people join us. All of the controls are at the bottom of your screen, so you should be able to hover over that and see what's happening. Ideally, mute your phone, just makes it more pleasant for everybody. As I said, use the chat function. And then there are some reaction buttons at the bottom. So if you're like, yeah, you're doing a good job, feel free to throw me a clap or a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And I'm just admitting a few more people. So thank you for everybody who's joining us. We just got going and just have gone over some Zoom tips. So going into the next slide. Love to start off in the chat. Can you enter one word that describes, I realized I put up two fingers, one word that describes how you're feeling today? And then I'll get Chantel for you to give some feedback.
So we've got hopeful from Angelie. Yay. Jennifer is positive, grateful, energized, happy, open. I like that.
Nice. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, I echo all those feelings. I'm really looking forward to the announcement this afternoon. I think a few of us are, just to understand, where we're going. And so grateful. I think everybody else feels the same way. So grateful for having Bonnie Henry and Adrian Dix, but especially Bonnie Henry for everything that she's done. So for anybody who's a bit newer to Canuck Place, here's our mission. We provide innovative, holistic clinical care with compassion throughout our hospices, in hospital, and in communities. And we provide respite, family support, pain and symptom management, end-of-life care, and bereavement services to newborns, children, youth, and their families living with progressive life-threatening conditions. But we do that with all of your help. So for all the wonderful volunteers on our call today, to all of our donors, to everybody who encompasses that whole realm, because I think a lot of us are involved in many, many ways. We can't do what we're doing without all of you. It is truly innovative because it is collective, and we're so grateful, and we're hoping that this will answer any questions that you might have, and just grateful that you're joining us this morning. So now to the star of our show. We have Laura Fielding, Manager for Recreation Therapy. Her work superpower, because apparently Laura has superpowers in all realms of her life, and I get it. She can fix almost anything with duct tape. And of course, the work weakness, which is for all of us, the cookies. So at this moment, I do have a little bit about our recreation therapy up on the program, on the screen right now, but I'm going to gracefully, yeah, I really am. No, I'm not. I'm going to gracefully stop sharing and share to Laura. There you are. Am I sharing? I'm going to make you a co-host.
Great.
And you go ahead. I think you can now do whatever you need to do, Laura. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here today. It's I don't know this for you guys. These are like brand new platforms for me to learn, and it's been an experience. And maybe it's a silver lining that we're all kind of figuring out some new ways to connect with one another. It's been pretty incredible, to say the least. It's so nice to see faces I recognize and people that we've missed. A lot of volunteers that I see out there in the crowd that we haven't seen for, guys, going on 2 months now. So thank you all for being here today. I am going to attempt to screen share. This one, share.
Be a green button at the bottom.
Yeah. Is this right?
Yeah, you're good.
Does it show just the one slide?
Yeah. So if you go up
Okay.
to the top, there you go. Beautiful.
So we're good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Whew. First hurdle over. Okay, so we're going to talk today about recreation therapy and how things have changed here at Canuck Place since COVID began. So for those of you who aren't aware, pre-COVID, we had a monthly in-house calendar, which was comprised of 3 outings per week. We had arts and crafts, we had special guests, we had community offerings, which included respite camp in fall and spring, and summer in the city, which was our day camps that we provided for kids in the summertime. We have special events like our winter festival, our summer barbecue. Those have upwards of 300 plus people coming to the houses, DLH, as well as Vancouver Hospice. We provided families with tickets and opportunities in the community. So going to Canucks games and going to Whitecaps games, or going to the spa and having facials. We do a lot of community resources and advocacy. So if a family comes to us and says, my child really loves swimming, but they have a trach and vent, how can I safely have my child engage in swimming in a community pool? We look after those resources and troubleshoot for those families so that their kid can safely and appropriately engage in recreation and leisure in the community. We look at adaptive equipment, things like adaptive bikes, any sort of adaptive equipment under the sky. We do, downhill skiing. We look at ways to get kids on P&E rides. Anything that involves kids being involved with leisure, we'll do. And then, of course, building and cultivating donor relationships. Finally, we have end-of-life in-house and in-home, which is where we create memories and special wishes for children and families. So this was all pre-COVID, pretty robust program at our 2 sites, David Letty House in Vancouver. I thought we were rocking it pretty good. So then we have COVID, the beginning, and this was when the community restrictions and stay-at-home orders came into place. And this is kind of how we reacted. This is a big cricket. It was literally like all of us were paralyzed. We were scared. We were like, is this really happening? The hospice starts to look different. We were a little bit unsure of what to do. So we had a period of time where we're just like kind of adjusting, kind of thinking, kind of adapting to our new reality. And then things began to shift because we realized that this was our new reality for the time being. As Dr. Bonnie Henry says, it's not forever, it's just for now. And so we needed to make that shift. So in the house, we noticed it was a lot different. We didn't have our volunteers here, and that is a big loss for the house. Coming together with people and connecting is a big part of what Canuck Place is. Whether you're a volunteer, whether you're an employee, whether you're a child or family, that is the heart of Canuck Place, is connection. So now in-house, we're down to limited respite kids, and we have end-of-life children and families. So now, in the midst of all these lockdowns and restrictions, we still have children and families, children who are dying, and families who need respite for their kids. So Canuck Place had to really consider, what is this going to look like now? How can we all come to work safely? How can children and families be in-house safely? And how can we still provide really good care and services? The realization after we had limited kids and end-of-life kids coming in was that people still needed meaning, they still needed quality of life, and they still needed a chance to connect and make memories. And so that's just consistent, whatever phase of life that we're in, whether it's COVID, whether it's normal life, whether something else happens, this is always going to be an innate human need. So we started doing a lot of one-on-one sessions. And I guess it's a good thing we have the big 26-foot long bus, because I took a lot of kids on one-on-one trips around the city. I used to call them our epic adventures. And so I had little girl Scarlett in house, and we cranked the tunes and we just traveled around Vancouver. I have gotten really good at like an hour-and-a-half long loop, which covers Stanley Park, the West End. We go over to the University of BC and kind of back around. So those were our epic adventures, and those were amazing. To be able to connect with kids in a one-on-one situation, I think it's something that we sometimes miss at Connect Place, because we're trying to like cater to the groups, or like what's everyone want to do at the same time. And so now it really got down to these quiet, intimate one-on-one sessions, and man, we learned a lot about the kids in that time. One time when Scarlett and I were going for one of our epic rides, I'm like, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to deliver cookies to my dad, the Connect Place cookies. So we got on the bus and we headed out to Burnaby, where Scarlett lives, and we delivered her dad some cookies with the two of us in the van. So it was a really special way to connect. The dad was thrilled to see his child, and I just thought, this is Connect Place coming together, you know, hospice and community. It was amazing. So then we started shifting. So this is one of my favorite quotes: you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And that's sort of exactly where I feel like we are right now with COVID. There's so many things that are out of our control. Like, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know if there's going to be a vaccine. We don't know. But there are things we can control, and those are the things that we can change and adjust, and we can make sense of. So we shifted to our new reality. And basically we're like, hey, our one-on-ones, hey, we're rocking that now. You know, we've rocked it before, we're rocking this now, this is good. What are we missing? And what we noticed we were missing is the connection with the kids not coming in house. And we started to think for a while, you know, we're really missing the children and families. Are they missing us? And so we started to reach out slowly. We started to send out kids on program emails just to say, hey, we're thinking about you. We're still here. We care. We may not be able to do everything to help you out that you need right now, but we want you to know that we're here. So we started to do in-house and community. So again, we sent an email out to kids on program just saying, hey, we're here. Once a week, we would say, here are some new resources we found on the internet. Here are some things you can do with your kids at home. And we tailored it for all age groups, whether you've got a baby, a toddler, kids in school. You know, it was really tough for everybody in the beginning, because they weren't even doing at-home schooling, right? So everyone's kind of finding their new routine and finding what works for them. And people were bored. This is what we found out. People really, really were bored, and parents were pulling their hair out. So we started to find different ways to connect. And Jillian, I think, spent a good 3 days figuring out the Zoom platform. You know, is this doable? Can we connect with families in this way? What's it going to look like? Are we going to feel stupid? You know, half the time we're trying to figure out, oh, is my video on? Can you hear me? You know, all these things. But we're like, you know what? One of the things we're good at Connect Place is just jumping in with both feet and giving it a try. So introduced our first Zoom session. And you can see there's Jillian in the corner with her headphones on. And our first Zoom session was with Chloe, our therapy bunny. Really didn't know how that was going to work. Just kids watching a screen and looking at a bunny that usually comes into the hospice for therapeutic activity. But it was amazing. And what was so cool was that we got to see Chloe, the bunny, in her home environment. And Chloe also has a sister bunny with special needs. And so how beautiful to see that Chloe is living in some ways, a lot of the ways that Connect Place families live, you know, with different people at home and people with different abilities at home. And so Sophie, who is the sister, actually had to kind of lie on her side, and that's how she would eat and move about the house, was kind of like dragging herself along. But, you know, no less valuable, no less beautiful, and completely perfect in the way she was living with Chloe in that world. So I thought it was such an amazing session, and really spoke to what we do at Connect Place in terms of like just meeting people where they're at, meeting bunnies where they're at. And it was just really cool to see families again. So you'll see, maybe you guys know the Letcher family. They were just like, yeah, we're game, let's do it. So it was painful, I gotta be honest. We had a couple of very painful moments. But here's our most recent session. And you can't see all of them, but we had over 25 people Zooming in for our ice cream session yesterday, which included ice cream and trivia. So we got to actually make ice cream at home. which is using a baggie and some salt and ice and everything else. And so you can see how our sessions have really grown. If we had gone the first week and said, we're only getting 2 kids, but that's not good enough for us, let's call it. But our, I think, guiding principle is always, if we're touching and reaching out to 1 kid and connecting with 1 kid and 1 family, that's good enough for us. To see the Zoom sessions grow to including 20, 25 people is unbelievable. We're just so very excited. So what we're doing right, and as I like to call them, learning opportunities, which are areas where we've maybe didn't do so well. We started slow. That was definitely something we're like, let's just start slow. Let's just get this up and running. Let's do a couple of test runs. And so we started with just our kids on program, so the active respite families. About 3 sessions in, we're like, yeah, this feels pretty good. We weren't having fantastic numbers, but 3, 5 families. So we opened it up to our bereaved families. So we started adding in our bereavement type 1 families. And then this really started to grow from there. One of the things we did from the very beginning was we were very open and very honest. We're learning this new platform, and children and families are learning this new platform. So we're all like, hey, we're going to make mistakes. This is going to be a learning opportunity. Let's just see how this goes. And people had a really great time just with that level of authenticity and openness. Definitely trying new things. We realized pretty quickly that not everything works well. Our Therapy Bunny session, we were surprised, worked extremely well. We had a music therapy session with Karen, a music therapist, which was brilliant until we tried to do a call and response musical number. So the I am a pizza, and then everyone else is supposed to say, I am a pizza. Yeah, so we realized when we put the microphones on, when we tried to call back to her, it cut everything out. So literally for about 30 seconds, you could see Karen trying to sing. We couldn't hear her because we're singing back to her. And we just had a good laugh about it, because what else are you going to do in that point? You're just like, well, that didn't work so well. Be ready for the unexpected. There were definitely things that came up when we opened it up to families that we didn't expect. I think sometimes when you're in a Zoom session, you can kind of trick yourself into thinking that it's just you and the other person there, not maybe a big group of people. So we had a little girl who was recently bereaved. Her sister had died. And in the middle of the session, she says, my sister died. And I was a little taken aback, because in the moment you're like, okay, I want to address that. I want to validate how she's feeling, but I also kind of want to contain it and be able to move on with the session that we were doing, because there's other families that are there too, and you don't want them to be triggered and everything else. So I said, we are so sorry to hear that your sister died, and we know that you must miss her so much. And we wish that she was here with us today, but we're glad that you're here, and we're just so pleased that you're spending time with us. And it was so beautiful, because at the end of the session, this little girl held up a sign and it said, I love you. And I said, all of us love you so much too, and so I get a little weepy thinking about it, but again, it kind of just came out of the blue. And how do you adjust in that moment to really connect with that little girl, recognizing that everyone's around you as well. Moms started chiming in and saying, I'm really scared, again, during a session where you're, trying to meet with a therapy bunny, or you're trying to do music. And one of the moms says, I'm really scared about my child going back to school. And again, stopping the session for a second and say, yeah, that's a big fear for a lot of parents right now. And there's a lot of unknowns, and so this work was so beautiful and opened up so many conversations. And we were able to sort of, after the session, so we kind of contained it in the moment. After the session, we sent an email to the families and just reconnect again and say, hey, I heard during that session that you're really feeling scared about your kid going back to school. Let's talk about that. And so we had a chance then to really, explore those fears, explore what's going on for them, look at some ways to adjust and make things different for that family, and help them to come to a conclusion on their own that works for their family. Not everyone's going to send their kid back to school when school's in again. It depends. And there's no right answer, which is the other good thing. Persevere. So unbeknownst to us, the Zoom sessions, if you have the free account, is only 40 minutes. So literally in the middle of the first session, or maybe the second session, it was like, oh, womp. And then it was like completely black. And Jillian and I were just like, oh my goodness, fail. But again, sent an email out to all the families that were there and just kind of said, hey, that was a great session. So sorry that we didn't monitor that time super well. We'll do better in the future. Just again, open and honest. And then just remembering to laugh. Honestly, when we can make fun of ourselves, I think that's when people most connect with us. I just got a text from Jillian this morning who said, does anybody else have frostbite on their fingers from the ice cream session yesterday? I think I've actually given myself frostbite. So poor thing. And I was like, do we have to do an incident report for that? I don't know. It's like the first Zoom session incident report we'd ever have to do. Anyhow, so it's been a learning opportunity. It's been a lot of fun. We've laughed a lot, and it's been really heartening. I think what we knew is we were missing this connection with the kids, and just to see families there, even for half an hour at a time, has just brought us so much joy. And it's been really, I think during these dark times, just been the light in our days and our weeks for sure. Okay, enough about us. What can you guys do? Because I know everyone's at home. Oh, I'm at home, I've got kids, or I'm just with my wife or my husband or whatever. What am I going to do? So let's talk about a COVID home survival guide for you guys. I think the best thing, and everyone's like, love languages, what the heck? I think the best tool that you can use is knowledge. And you need to know yourself, and you need to know the people that you're living with. If you're living on your own, this is still good to know. If you're living with 5 other people or 6 other people, whatever it is, this is really good for you to know. And also motivation. What motivates you and the people in your life? Sorry, as I make my notes here. So maybe you guys have heard of these by Gary Chapman, The Languages of Love. So do you like words of affirmation? Do you like receiving gifts? Do you like acts of service? Do you like quality time? Do you like physical touch? Is there anyone out there right now? Maybe you want to give a shout out to Chantal. Do you know your love language? If you feel like sharing, you don't have to. If you felt like it. Chantal, if anyone pipes up, let me know.
Nope, nothing coming. Oh, receiving gifts, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation for sure.
Great. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for sharing. If you don't know what your language of love is, and you're not always in one category, but kind of think, you know, this is where I predominantly lie. This is where I like to stay. So here are just some things you can have a quick look through and just see if any of those will kind of speak to you in terms of what you prefer, you know, for yourself. Do you prefer receiving gifts? Do you like acts of service? Do you like physical touch? And I'll let you just kind of have a little look through there for a couple seconds while I get a little sip of drink. So what's really cool when you can figure out what your self-love or your language of love is you'll know that's what you like to get from others. So just give you a little personal story with my husband, lovely man that he is. He loves physical touch. That man is a cuddler you wouldn't believe. So here I am going out, buying him the new sailing magazine, showing him how much I love him by, you know, thinking he wants to receive gifts because that's what I like. And he's like, yeah, that's great. You know, reading the sailing magazine, and he's coming in for the big hug. And I'm like, no, but I just gave you this lovely gift. You should go read it now. That's what I would do. But turns out, even though my language of love is receiving gifts, he likes physical touch. So I really had to readjust my own self and the way I respond to him by really reaching out to him, you know, giving him lots of hugs during the day, lots of, you know, sitting on the couch and snuggling together. And it's not really my go-to, I got to be honest, but it's his, that's how he feels loved. Conversely, when it comes time for anniversaries or birthdays or whatever, I know that he doesn't really like giving gifts. It's not like his thing. He'd rather give me a big old hug. So I'm just honest with him. I'm like, you know, for my birthday, I would really like this. And it doesn't offend me in the least, honestly. It doesn't offend me to have to say to Jason, I would really like this for my birthday. One Christmas, the man bought me a vacuum cleaner. Honestly, one of my best presents to date. So love it. Because it spoke to what I love. Like it spoke to, I mean, maybe I'm acts of service because there's cleaning in there. I don't know. But it really spoke to him honoring who I am as a person. So I just really encourage you to kind of look at what do you like? How do you like to receive love? What is your partner, your kid, your aunt, your uncle, whoever's in your life, what do they like to receive? Because once you know that, you can more easily connect with them. Okay, everyone's got their love language, I hope. And if not, have a look at it afterwards. You can Google on the web. You can actually do a little test to see where you're at. Okay, I've got it. Now what? Well, this is what I suggest. I suggest looking at a routine and schedule. Whether you're working from home, whether you're a busy mom, busy dad, got kids at home, don't have kids at home, empty nester, whatever you are, I suggest you look at a routine and a schedule. When Jillian and I share working from home on days during the week. When I work from home, I get up, I shower, I put on my work clothes, I have a workspace, and I make a big joke, but I'm going to commute to work now as I move from the bedroom to my kitchen table. But that's how I kind of structure my day. I like to have routine. You can also have a look at this. If people aren't into schedules, don't really know how to do it. This is one that I found online, just something for kids, something for a person to do. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have kids, sure, throw in academic time. If you're a single adult, you know, maybe academic time for you is reading a book. But it just kind of is a way to cut the day down. It's the way to structure your day. It makes time pass way faster, I'll tell you. When you've got something to kind of, oh, it's 9 o'clock now, time to get outside for a walk. Oh, 10 o'clock now, it's time to do some reading. I use this with my daughter, she's 12, and it's been really helpful for her to kind of see that there's a structure to the day. My cousin who works in the ER says, you don't want to gain the COVID-19, which is the 19 pounds that all of us gain from staying at home and not having schedules. Okay, so you have to also look at must-do lists and would like to do lists. So for kids, now that they're back in school, they're learning online, that's obviously a must-do. You know, and if you're working from home, those are things that you must do. So maybe it's not going to be an 8-hour work day, or for kids a 6-hour school day, but there are things you have to get done during your day. So it's good to have lists for things that you must accomplish and what you'd like to accomplish. My husband says that after COVID, we're going to have the cleanest houses in all the planet, because everyone right now is doing like tons and tons of spring cleaning. My husband and I are like, okay, the house is clean, the boats are clean, the storage locker is clean. We're done now. COVID can finish, because we don't need any more. This is also a time if you want to get your low priority items done, you know, things that get pushed down the list because of the priority items. There's maybe some time now. Again, Jason and I went through all of our old photos. We literally had a Tupperware bin of photos, and now they're organized and in little, well, they're going to be in catalogs or like little photo albums when I get them from Amazon, because apparently the Prime's not working anymore. Can't get it in 2 days, which is unfortunate. Okay, I've got it. Now what again? Look at your interests. This is for you, your kids, your partner, whatever. Google, thank goodness for Google, or just the internet, I'll say. I'm promoting Google here or not. But there's so many things out there you can look at, and people feel a little at a loss. Like sometimes there's so much out there, but like if you like Harry Potter, you know, Google Harry Potter activities to do online. There's an escape room online for Harry Potter. Who knew? But you can go down the rabbit hole of things to do while you're in your house, while you're at home. Look at indoor challenges. I know it's challenging for kids indoors, but you know, say to your kid off the top of my head, let's create the longest sock snake we can create, you know, and just look at little challenges for kids that they can do while they're at home indoors. And again, looking at your kid and what motivates them. So if your kid is motivated, my kid is very motivated by money, for example. So I gave her a list of things to do, and it was everything from like, make a wooden planter box with your papa, or make an apron with your grandma, or, you know, plant seeds, and everything had a dollar value attached to it. So it was like, read a book of 100 pages, get paid $5. So I really looked at my daughter Vivian. I looked at ways that she was motivated and things that interest her, and I paired those two things together. Now I owe the kid $200, but she's been busy during COVID time. So I think it's a win-win. I don't know, bank account will tell me later on. And also have things to look forward to. So for some people, it's the 7 o'clock banging of the pots. If that is your thing, that is great. I think it's wonderful to have something to look forward to, whether daily, weekly, just something to kind of focus on future. And that can, like I said, it can be at 7 o'clock at night. It can be down the road. You know, for my daughter, Vivian, she really wants to go back to Nova Scotia this summer to see her best friend that's there. And I've just been really honest. And I said, I don't know. We've planned for it. I've made a booking. And we'll hope for that, honey, but, you know, we'll just wait and see. But she still has something to look forward to. And I was like, if not, we'll plan something else. You know, we'll shift and adjust as we've all had to do. Also consider everyone's abilities. I have a beautiful ability to clean. So like I said, the house has never been cleaner. Vivian really loves to do iPad. It's called Procreate, which is an awful name for a kid's app. But anyhow, she will sit for, I'm not saying hours of screen time, but she loves for me to sit beside her and watch her create these amazing online pictures that she draws. And my husband is like, oh my gosh, if I have to watch one more video of her making a picture, I'm going to poke my eyes out. But I said, you know what, Jason, I've got this. I can do this. This works for me. This can be my area of bonding with Vivian. Yours can be going out for a bike ride with her. You know, and so I just think, be kind to yourself, find out what your kids can do, and then find out what works best for you as a family. You know, you don't have to be everything to everyone, right? If you're on your own through this COVID time, again, it's looking at, are you a person who likes to connect with people? Then sure, get on more Zoom sessions. Jason and I joke that, you know, these stay-at-home precautions aren't really affecting us too much because we're actually introverts in our own rights. We just say, well, this is life, you know. We don't connect with a lot of people outside of our own little bubble. So, it's, you know, people adjust in different ways. I saw a funny meme that said, hey, introverts, put down your book and connect with your extroverted friends. We're not okay. So it just reminded me as well that some of my friends who are extroverts also need some love right now. And this I thought was so hilarious. Geez, Grandma, it's not that hard. Go into settings, select Wi-Fi, select it, tap it with a finger. Oh my God, any finger. Urgh. This is kind of how I feel right now with like kids are like, they've got this, you know, like, COVID, lockdown, whatever, you know, new technology, I've got it. You know, it's the older people like myself and the grandparents are just like, well, I do not got this. Okay, so there's a couple of guiding principles, which interestingly enough, also work for real life. And these are things that help us at Canuck Place as we move through COVID, as we move through life with the children and families here at Canuck Place. One is trust the process. You know, I'm getting to hate that we're all in this together, but you know what, like, we got to trust this process. We've got to trust Dr. Bonnie Henry. She is an incredible woman. We've got to trust that she's leading us down the right path to get us through this time. Be yourself and be present. You know, like, if you're someone who doesn't want to connect with people and your friends are like, I'm bored, help me, let's do Zoom. That's okay. Just say, you know what, it's not the time for me right now. I need to just honor this time to like turtle and go inward and just maybe enjoy this lockdown for me. But when you do come out and you do connect with your friends, be present with them. So when you're on a Zoom session, you know, take the time, take the half an hour to really connect and be present. It's only half an hour. Create your own narrative. So it's going to be interesting for all of us to look back on this time. And this is what I said to my husband. I don't want this past 7, 8 weeks, months, whatever it's going to be in vain. You know, so I really want to take this time right now to be creative, to get stuff done. I don't want to look back and say, geez, I had 8 weeks and I could have done a whole lot of stuff, and just really regret that. So we're really just trying to get out, try some new things. We've tried some new recipes, and I am not a foodie who likes to try new recipes. You know, give me plain pasta and white rice, I'm happy. But we've tried spaghetti squash for the first time. You know, we made our own pad thai, and maybe it wasn't fantastic, but we had a really good time with it. Don't create someone else's narrative. So you know what, although we're all in this together, we're all in different boats. You know, we're all experiencing different levels of anxiety, different levels of stress. Some people are finding their way through more easily than others. And the fact of the matter is, like, we don't really know each other's stories unless we ask, unless we're present. So I just, you know, ask you to think about that. Don't be tied to expectations or outcomes. As I said to Karina, let's have low expectations going into this whole thing today and see how it works. But yeah, you know, we don't know how this is going to end. We don't know how long COVID's going to go on for. Here at Canuck Place with Rec Therapy, we're kind of just day to day. We're kind of going with what works for now. We're making changes as we can along the way. We're not tied to any expectations right now. We're not tied to any outcomes. We're just kind of shifting and adjusting as it comes. Be kind and gentle with yourself. I wish I could like highlight this and have it make it come up like, woo, woo, woo. You know, like, all of us are wearing many, many, many different hats right now. All of us have many different things going on. If you're a stay-at-home parent and you're working, like, you know, you're wearing the teacher hat, you're wearing the getting food prepped hat, you're the house cleaner hat, the working hat, all those things. So just be kind and gentle with yourself. Nobody is doing this well. You know, all of us are just figuring it out. So just be kind, be kind, be kind, be kind. And then finally, see the beauty and the ordinary miracles that are occurring around you every single day. And this is so true in this period of time. One of our coworkers, Gabrielle, sent an email yesterday that said, I think that Mother Nature or the earth has sent us all to our rooms to think about what we've done. And I kind of feel like that's so true. You know, this is a real time to reflect, to reconnect, to make changes, and to just realize that there are so many beautiful things happening around us every single day. you know, COVID could not have come at a better time in terms of like the blossoms are out. It's been sunny. You know, we've all had to press reset. We've all had to really slow down. And I think this is going to be the silver lining in all of this right now. So there we are. That's my spiel. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm going to, I hope, stop sharing, pause share.
Perfect. If you have a question, feel free to type it into the chat. I am going to, yes, I am going to just share the remaining part of the general presentation. And Chantel, I will pause sporadically to throw out for questions. But
Awesome.
I will keep, we've gone a little bit over, so I just want to honor time in case people aren't able to stay with us. So are there any questions right now, Chantel? Oh, look, I got the any questions slide. Any questions right now?
Nothing that I've seen pop up, but lots of lovely comments. I want to point out that Bonnie said, for those that didn't see it, her 10-year-old grandchild shows her new magic tricks on Skype every day, which I think is absolutely amazing. And lots of just thank you for sharing the info, Laura and Karina, and that they were all missed. We are all missing each other. I know I miss everyone that I'm seeing, and lots of thank yous, and hope you're all doing well as well.
Awesome. Well, if you want to share about Canuck Place, even about today, we're really encouraging people to come out and join us. These are open to people who are connected to Canuck Place or even want to learn a little bit more about Canuck Place. So there's all our socials. If you're on socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, start to follow us, share your experience. We have 3 more sessions, and we'd love to have you join us if you haven't signed up. Just use that same registration or feel free to send me an email. Next week, we're going to have a discussion with Kirsten Campbell, who is a is a clinical nurse specialist with us at our Dave Letty House location. Then we have Deborah Davison talking about grief and music therapy, which apparently we will not do a call and sound. Yeah, I can get that. I tried singing Happy Birthday over Zoom, and it was brutal because it felt like the only people that you heard were the ones who were the most off tune. And yeah, it was hideous. If you're able, we're always looking for support for what we're doing, or if you know people who different industries have been impacted in different ways. And so we're looking at who do we connect with, which leads into, hey, Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday. And if you are somebody whose acts of service is about getting up at 8 a.m. and doing yoga, have we got an activity for you? So just check that out. TERP is doing a yoga session in honor of Canuck Place moms and on Mother's Day morning. So it looks like it's going to be an amazing experience. And then last but not least, we have been starting to send out some wonderful newsletters to all of our community to say from our house to yours. And they have some different tips and tricks similar to what Laura talked about. And as we wrap up, I want to say thank you to everybody who came out today. We will have a recording of this presentation. If you had to leave a little bit early, we will send it out. Thank you, Laura. That was amazingly profound, so meaningful, and it was so wonderful to hear how you were able to pivot and how powerful it's been for our families who've been doing those Zoom sessions. And you forget that technology, sometimes it feels like it's a barrier, but it doesn't have to be. It just means that we connect in different ways. So just thank you to the entire community that's on here. Again, share about what we're doing with these sessions. And when I send out the link, feel free to share that. We would love to have as many people be part of this as possible. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can actually see all the faces. Hello. Now I feel like I'm more connected. Thank you. It's so weird when we're doing this and like you're sharing the screen and you're like, I hope people still there. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Hugs and kisses. And Bev, you have an amazing looking rug that I now want. And yes, you know what? I never learned how to do the heart. But thank you so much, everybody, for being part of this. So grateful. Any last thoughts? I'll throw it to Denise if you want to say, because you're there. Any last thoughts? Anybody?
No, Laura, that was terrific. Thank you so much for sharing. I love hearing how nimble we are at Canuck Place, and if there's a challenge and thrown our way, this team knows how to tackle it. So thank you so much, Laura. That was fantastic. And it is so awesome to see everyone. I miss you. I miss my teammates. I miss seeing our volunteers. I miss going to the house. So it's just so terrific to connect with everyone here. Thank you so much for joining us. Spread the word if you found it informative. Forward the links when you've got them and encourage others to join. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.